And joining us now, a man who may be a familiar face to you. This is David Rogers with the Department of Energy. And David, I want to make sure I get your title correct because it's long. Director for Strategic Planning and Analysis in terms of energy efficiency and renewables.
Absolutely right.
A mouthful. David and I first met, and you may have seen him before on our Clean Skies News air, at the Western Energy Summit back in July, run by the Council on Competitiveness. The emphasis there, David, was on innovation, and that clearly will carry over to this two-day summit as well.
I think you're right. I think the kind of people that are here today from the laboratory community, the academic community, the business community, labor, are all here to talk about how we can harness American innovation for clean energy and use that to solve not only our energy security problems, but address climate change.
You have been with DOE for decades now, David, and you and I talked just a few months ago about the dramatic changes you've seen just in the last 8 or 9 months with the new administration and with Secretary Chu taking over.
Well, we're very proud of the foundation that the department's built over its history in terms of engineering, science, technology. But I think when the President and the Congress work together to launch the Recovery Act, we have an unprecedented, once-in-a-lifetime perhaps, opportunity to invest in clean energy technologies, grow the economy, build green jobs, and lay the foundation for a clean energy future for the country.
Let's talk about one of your specialties, energy efficiency specifically. On Monday, Secretary Chu delivered a speech at Grid Week. I was there to listen to it and had the chance to talk to him afterward about various aspects of what he discussed. And he put a special emphasis on the U.S.-China relationship, something we've heard President Obama talk about in depth just yesterday, as a matter of fact. Energy efficiency is one of the linchpins of that relationship, it seems.
Oh, I think you're right. And we've been working with China for many years, and then Secretary Chu traveled there in July. And the focus is on building efficiency, industrial efficiency, and helping them clean up their sources of power. And I'm very, very excited about what's going on. China's made some very progressive steps on building codes, for example, and audits for industrial facilities using the tools that we've developed at the Department of Energy over the last several years. So there's a real common interest in making progress, and I think, as the President said yesterday, we have to make progress very quickly. So we're counting on energy efficiency to help lead the way while we develop and invest in R&D for some of the other technologies that we'll need down the road.
For practical purposes, David, in your opinion, which is more exciting to you with this relationship? Is it the technology involved in greater energy efficiency, or is it the implementation of these possibilities?
Well, certainly we're going to be strong partners with China and many other countries on developing research and development and advancing technology. But I think one of the most exciting things about working with China is their ability and capacity to absorb tremendous amounts of product. So this is an opportunity we're going to talk about here at the summit today, is what are the opportunities for U.S. businesses to sell clean energy technologies in China and around the world. And it's critical because what we develop here in the U.S. and innovate here is going to be a product that others will want.
We're just about to begin, it sounds like. We've had a few 2-minute warnings so far. I want to wrap up, David, by talking about the other half of your specialty, that is renewable energy. Regarding offshore development, it's something we've heard the Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar, talk about again and again since taking office. What is the potential in your mind for offshore, and how quickly can that come online? Because it's not just an implementation of technology. There is a great deal of policy that goes along with it.
Well, I think you made a good point. Certainly in the U.S., we're blessed with very significant onshore resources, and Secretary of Interior Salazar has made a great push to expand those. We're also looking hard at offshore. It's more expensive, it's harder, it's going to take some time. But we're working with our European colleagues who have successfully deployed offshore wind to share knowledge and develop that technology in a faster way. We're working very closely with the Interior Department to try to identify and fix the issues that will allow us to expand offshore. But my personal opinion, I think onshore is going to grow like gangbusters. Offshore is going to follow along a little more slowly.
Is there a model for offshore that you look to? You talk about the international cooperation on this. Is there one country in particular or one international company that is doing it especially well right now?
Well, I think there's just so many. I think Germany, Denmark are leading the way, but the Swedes, Norway wants to get into it. United Kingdom's made some very strong announcements to deploy offshore wind. And again, that's the spirit that we're going into the Major Economies Forum and the United Nations discussion is how can the nations work together to more rapidly promote the clean energy technologies that we need to reduce carbon emissions.
Moving onshore, transmission, is that issue number one as far as you're concerned with renewable deployment?
I think we're going to talk about that very issue a lot today at the summit, and I just do not see how we can achieve the goals that the Congress has set for us in reducing climate emissions and the President has set for us unless we solve the transmission issue. It's a tough one. We got to respect state and local prerogatives in that area, but we need to identify some solutions that bring us more transmission faster.
One of the specific aspects that Secretary Chu mentioned on Monday regarding the U.S.-China relationship was China's deployment of extra or ultra high voltage transmission lines, talking about not just their ability and capacity, but also their energy efficiency in moving renewable energy generated in the west to the population centers in the east. Sounds very similar to what we're dealing here within our country, and that is moving it from the Midwest to the coasts.
I think you've sized it up pretty accurately, and we absolutely have to do that. Move our energy from where we can generate it to where we need to consume it. And we need to integrate that with the smart grid technology and make our buildings active nodes on that smart grid so that we can reduce demand.
DOE's David Rogers. David, good to see you again.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Hope you enjoy the two-day summit. It's going to be a lot of fun, I know.
I'm sure it'll be productive.